in New Zealand. Hope you're all having a super fantastic sparkling day. Welcome to Porchlight Letters podcast number 2478. Today we are talking about most overlooked important records. Yes. Oh, which reminds me, I have to put a link in here too to join us for a very important call tomorrow. So tomorrow, this is an announcement. On Friday, May 15th at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Oh no, I've got to find the link real fast. Oh, hang on, I know where it is. Right up here. I know, I should have had this done already. Go on with it, little dinner. There it is. Copy. Okay, so in the description for the podcast, there is a link there for tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning will be Friday, May 15th, and we have the AI Open Office Hour at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. And tomorrow it'll be featuring yours truly talking about it's really cool. She made a really cool graphic for this. It is what happens when a genealogist teaches AI to sing family stories. Now, if you've listened to a couple of my songs, which are all they're listed down below, I've actually got to add a new one on there. You'll see that they are stories, most of them are story songs. And so what I've done is I've taken some parts of my story and turned them into song because it's a way to tell the story that everybody can relate to and things like that as well. It's just a different way. So if you want to learn how to tell your family stories through songs, click the link in the description below and come join us tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Mountain Time so that you can join in the fun. I've got some one of the things we're going to be doing on the show is I've got a song coming out on the 24th of May, which is to me it's a very personal song. And you'll hear the story behind that song, and then you get to hear it before it is released on May 24th. So if you'd like to be in the know on that one, then come join us on the call tomorrow for the AI Open Office. And the links are in the description down below. So most overlooked documents. Let's get back on track here. Most overlooked documents. So most people start genealogy research by looking at obvious records. You got things like birth certificates, marriage certificates. Hang on, I'm trying to open up an image here because it's got some cool information on it. Open with preview, that will help. Okay, there we go. So things like birth certificates, marriage certificates, death certificates, and census records, those are important, and they are the obvious records that everybody goes for and has a look at and tries to find. You can throw baptismal records in there with the birth certificates because at certain times in history, they were not recording the births, but they recorded the baptisms, and sometimes on the baptism records, they put when the person was actually born. But there are other important genealogy records that are out there that nobody often thinks to look for. Things like city directories. They show where people lived and what they did for a living. It would have it usually had the husband's name. It might have had the wife's name in parentheses, her first name, and the address, and then what he did. If the person was a widow, it would have her name there. Then it would have widow of and the husband's name, and then the address and what she did. So there's all sorts of things that you can find. School records reveal children, addresses, and family connections. City directories, if you've got people from a family all living. Now, it used to be that some directories, I'm not sure when they went alphabetical listing by last name, but it used to be alphabetical listing by it used to be in the order that you lived in the street. So you'd have the street name at the top, and then it would have all the people listed in there by house number. So you did have to go searching through books made it very difficult to find things, but they're in there, and some of them are online and some of them are searchable. Church records include baptisms, marriage, burials, memberships. Sometimes newsletters are in there as well, so you can find out information from them. Newspapers, one of my favorite things to do is go looking through newspapers. They announce events that never made it into official records. So it could be announcing somebody's wedding. They had the wedding. This was who was at the wedding. This is what the bride wore, what the bridesmaid wore. This is what the best man wore and how he was related to the groom. This is what the groom wore. This is what the groomsman wore. This was who attended at the reception. The reception was held in such and such. They described the reception. It is a very detailed, some of them are very detailed things. I found almost an entire family tree one time. There was one, it was held in New York City. It was a very big, lavish wedding. It was huge. It took, the newspaper article was like half a page in the newspaper. They had a picture of the couple at the top. They then talked about that she was the daughter of, he was the son of, they were getting married. This is where they got married. This is the time they got married, the date they got married. And this was after, this is reporting back after the event. Then they had the reception where they held the reception. It went through the bridal party as to who they were, how they were related to the bride and groom, what they were wearing. And then it talked about the bride's family, the groom's family, and other people that were there. So it gave you a lot of information in there that you had to go and pull out. And of course, then go verify it to make sure that a reporter didn't misspell something or didn't add a name that shouldn't have been there and that sort of stuff. But newspapers can be very, very important. They will also, back in the 1800s into the early 1900s, they would tell you who was in hospital. That, John Smith was admitted to hospital last night with a broken arm. He's expected to be there for the next 7 days. And when he is released, he will go back to his home at 123 Main Street. Yeah, they gave all that information. They did. I mean, newspapers are back in the 1800s. There was basically a gossip section in there. This is who's in hospital. This is who's just been released. This is how this person's doing in hospital. Here's the wedding announcements. Here's the engagement notices. These people got married. These people are getting married. Here's the birth record. Here's the birth announcements. Here's the death announcements with the obituaries. Some obituaries were very small, like 2 lines. Others were a lot longer. And then you had whatever events had been going on in the area that were now reported in the newspaper that your ancestors could have been at. It's a very, which committees they were on, which clubs they belonged to, associations, meetings, they were all recorded in the newspapers. All the sports reports were there as well, or the sports results were there. It was just amazing. Other places you can look to are town and county records that contain statistics, listings, and valuable local information. What was going on at a certain time? Letters and correspondence offer personal details, relationships, and everyday life clues. And some people had kept all the letters that have been, all the love letters that have been sent to them over time during war and that sort of thing. It gave a good indication as to what was happening to them at that point in time, which adds to their story, makes their story deeper and richer. Photographs identify people, places, and unrecorded relationships. And I've got a couple of boxes of photographs that need to be scanned. And I'm talking the banker boxes. But those photos, as if you're going through the photos, get an archival safe pencil, and on the back write who, when, and where it was taken. That's the minimum you should have on the back of a photograph. Who was in the photograph, where was it taken, and when was it taken? And that's a really cool thing. At my nephew's wedding that I was at on the 25th of April, he had a photograph that I had sent him. They had printed out and put it into a beautiful frame and said, fun fact, we also celebrate, our wedding is also the same date that Grandma Jenny and Grandpa Bob Sr. got married. And somebody was standing next to me, and I was standing up there looking at this. And of course, I was a little teary-eyed because there's a picture of Brad there and a picture of his oldest brother, who was the father of the groom. And just thinking, those are 2 people that couldn't be there. One passed away when Parker was only, 16 months old when his dad passed. And Brad passed away, almost 9 years ago. It's been almost 9 years. Having those photographs there, and then somebody said to me, oh, would it be nice to have, because she mentioned that Bob's picture was from his wedding pictures. And I said, well, Brad's not. I didn't even think to do that, but I could have done that. But I liked the picture that was there anyway. And she said, oh, would it be nice to see Ginny in her, which is my mother-in-law, in her wedding dress? I said, well, that picture was taken on their wedding day, either on their way to City Hall to get married or after they left City Hall to get married, after they just got married in City Hall. I said, that's what she wore at her wedding. And she's like, really? I said, yeah. I said, he picked her up at the train. And the story went is that she left Shreveport, Louisiana to go up on the train to meet him in Denver, Colorado, because he'd been stationed there. He had been down in Shreveport for a while, and then he got reassigned up into Denver, Colorado. And so she told him what train she was coming in on, and with the instructions that he meets her at the train and they go straight to City Hall to get married, because if he did not take her straight to City Hall to get married, she would not be staying with him overnight, and she would be on the next train home to Louisiana. So he met her at the train, took her down to City Hall, and they got hitched. That's basically the story. And then that picture was taken either on their way. I think it was actually taken after, but I'm not 100% certain on that. It was either on their way to City Hall or after they left City Hall after getting married. So that story got told multiple times that evening as people were asking about this couple and where it was taken and all that sort of thing. Another set of records you can look at are land and property records. They explain where people lived and how they were connected. So when you're looking at land and property records, you could be looking to see who else was on that street and were they related, and if they had the same last name, were they related to the people that you're researching? It could be a sideline that you're looking at. Probate and wills reveal family, property, debts, and personal relationships. These are amazing, amazing documents, the probate and wills, because it lists in there who his children are. If he's recognizing grandchildren, they're in there. If they're turning around and saying this is the person who's the executor of the will, or the executrix of the will, and this is how they're related to me. And you have to remember, back in those days with probates and wills, they had to have somebody who was not related to the person and was not named in the will to witness the will being signed. So if Joe Smith is on his deathbed and he's signing his will, nobody related to Joe Smith can sign that document as a witness. And if the person that he wants to be a witness is named in the will, they cannot sign it either. It has to be somebody completely independent, not related, and not named in the will, were the two requirements. Also, clubs and organizations, they show the interests of the person, the involvement and the community connections. Were they part of Rotary? Were they part of Lions? Were they part of some charity that assisted homeless people or people that were in trouble, that sort of thing? So when you're looking at records, think of it this way. And you can create checklists that have all these records and things on there for you to go and have a look at. Instead of asking where are the obvious answers, ask the question, what records would have existed in this person's everyday life? And then go look them. Often the missing piece of the puzzle has been sitting quietly in an unexpected place all along, hiding in plain sight. So with that, we are out of here. If you want assistance with finding records and things, just go up here and scan this code and book a 30-minute discovery call, and let's get on the phone and get you looking in the right direction. And with that, we are out of here. Go out, have a super fantastic, sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys back here tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific. If you want to join us at 10 a.m. Mountain Time tomorrow, then go to the link that's in the description down below and come join us on AI Open Office, where you will get to see how a genealogist teaches AI to create songs out of family stories. And until then, have a super fantastic, sparkling evening. Hei konera.